Blog Talk Radio.
He is the last of his kind. All that remains of a once powerful nation. Some think he is a myth. Some believe he is the chosen one, who will bring balance to a world at war. And some will stop at nothing to destroy him.
Welcome, Moors to Moors Talk Live 100. I'm your host, Tarhaka Presents, and tonight we will have our special guest, Dr. Walter Williams, and the title of this broadcast is God is Not Your Friend. That's the title of the broadcast. Dr. Walter Williams, our special guest. We'll be dealing with the following questions. Where does the concept of God come from in the first place? Where did that come from? I mean, did God come here and tell everybody, hey, my name is God, and from now on, I want everybody on the earth to call me God. That's my name. That's what I want you to call me. And it's an English term. If you no matter what your nationality is or where you come from on the earth, you have to say God. Okay, so that's I'm wondering if that happened. Number two, is there a definition of God someplace? Can God be defined? Can the word God be defined? What's the mechanics behind that? What's our historical information on that? What is the ancient story on the information of that? And what is the history of the definition of God? Who defined it? That's what I want to know. Who? Tell me who. Number three, who and what is God? Who? What? Number four, anybody on earth ever seen God? I think that's a fair question. I think that's fair. You got you can do an interview of thousands and thousands of people across the North American continent and ask the question, to the best of your knowledge, have you or do you know anybody in this country that can verify that they have seen God? Give me some evidence. Give me the facts. What about angels? Number 5. Okay, because that's wrapped up in the same category there. We got this concept called God. There should be a definition of it someplace. Then we got angels, and all of the images I ever seen of angels, they have wings. And all of the images of everybody that I ever seen in the Bible, none of them look like me. It's always some Caucasian image someplace. Number 6, can God be defined outside of religion? Can he be defined outside of religion? Can I play the stock market and include God in it? Can I build a house, put a roof on a house, install some plumbing, electricity, smelt some steel or iron, go hiking, get on an airplane and stuff, and include God on it, attach God to it, and outside of religion, some type of religious purpose. Now, these are just a few of the questions that we're going to deal with tonight, and when my special guest, Dr. Williams, get in here, we're going to deal with this here tonight. Keep in mind that the number to dial into the broadcast is 319-527-6084. Later on, we're going to be opening up the phone lines, 319-527-6084. Press 1 on your phone. That'll give me an indication that you have something to say. I'll open up the phone line so you can get in, okay? But we're going to deal with this God.
Hey, everybody, this is Tarhaka again. I would like to introduce you to the Great Debate. We now have copies of the Great Debate. Dr. Walter Williams debates Prince Ezio ben Israel of the Hebrew Israelites. Also, Reverend Henry Hardy of one of the most prominent churches in Chicago, Illinois. Chester Blair, a major attorney in Chicago, and Munir Muhammad of the Nation of Islam. The whole thing is hosted by W.L. Lillard. Dr. Walter Williams debate these men on their belief versus what he knows for a fact and he can prove. Get your copy by going to www.tarhakadebtelimination.org. That's tarhakadebtelimination.org, or you can go to newdataelimination.com. newdataelimination.com. Contact me for your copies. Okay? The Great Debate. You got any questions, just give me a shout. Peace.
Hi everyone, I'm Chantel, and the time for becoming a secured party and creditor is now. To do it right, go to www.newdebtelimination.org. That's www.newdebtelimination.org. Contact Tarhaka, learn how to be a creditor, learn how to live in the private, find out what private banking is all about, learn about being in your proper status in commerce, learn what a national and diplomat is all about. www.newdebtelimination.org. For Tarhaka's free report, go to tarhakadebtelimination.org. Put in your email address, and he will rush your free report to your email box. Learn about what's going on in America, learn about big tobacco and what's in it for you. Go to www.tarhakadebtelimination.org. I'm Chantel. Thanks.
Okay, everybody, we're back. And don't forget, later on, the phone lines will be open. The number to dial into the broadcast is 319-527-6084. Press 1 on the phone. That'll give me an indication you got something to say. And it'll appear right here on the switchboard. I can open it up so you can get in. Now, it appears that my guest is in the queue. I'm going to open up his phone line so we can get started with this broadcast. I don't like to waste time. I don't know about you. Area code 773, Dr. Walter Williams. Are you with us tonight?
Yes, I'm here, Brother Tarhaka.
All right, fantastic. Welcome, my brother. This is a this is a tough subject tonight, man. God is not your friend. Wow. Because we got all these people all over the United States, all over the world, and they got this God thing going, God this, God that, and it's interesting because when I question people and I ask them, have you ever seen God, I can't get a straight answer. And then some of them want to fight. All of this other kind of stuff. You gonna go to hell, and I ask them, well, okay, well, tell me where it's at, so I can go there, and then I can tell everybody else that you said hell is right here. This is the location. This is the street is on. This is the community that's in. This is the city that it's located in, and all of the stuff that I can see. And that I'm accustomed to seeing and knowing and all of that here instead of some hocus pocus. But nevertheless, before we get started, Dr. Williams, we got quite a few new people here this evening. The switchboard is lighting up. People is coming in here. And this great debate thing, could you tell us a little bit about yourself and give us some 411 on this great debate thing, man? Let's find out, because I got some questions about this stuff here. I want to know if they ever apologize to you about this. But let's find out what it's all about.
Well, the great debate taking place in 1993 in Chicago, Illinois. W.L. Lillard, who had a television show, a local television show, had me on as a special guest. But the thing about it, he had me on to defeat me, meaning that when I first came out in 1993 with my first book, The Historical Origin of Christianity, whereby the thesis of that book is saying that there's never been a man that ever walked the earth in human form of any race, creed, or color by the name of Jesus Christ, that upset a whole lot of people in the community, in the African community, because you had all these preachers talking about Jesus Christ and this and that, and you had the black Hebrew Israelites, they talking about Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and they was from the blood of Abraham, and then you had these Muslims out here talking about that was the Prophet Muhammad, and so forth and so on, and then the lawyer that was on there, Chester L. Blair, I also was saying during that time that we Africans born in the United States of America was not citizens of the United States of America due to the Constitution drawn up in 1787. So he was there to debate me on that. And then W.L. Lillard, he agreed with everybody on that panel except for me. So he had me on there for these men to, let's say, ambush me to the point whereby they could defeat what I'm saying about these various religions. So Prince Asiel Ben Israel was one of the main leaders and followers of Ben Ami, who had took a group from Chicago and went over into the illegal state of Israel and settled over in Dimona, Israel. And so he was defending that type of rhetoric coming from the black Hebrew Israelites. So, and then you had Reverend Henry Hardy. He was a Christian, and he had a big church right here in Chicago, so he was defending Christianity and this dead white man on the cross called Jesus Christ. And then you had Munir Muhammad, who was from the Nation of Islam. He was defending Prophet Muhammad of Islamic tradition. So therefore, I had to debate him. And then Chester L. Blair was a lawyer who takes, as you know, lawyers take an oath to become a lawyer defending the Constitution. And the Constitution, he was trying to defend without saying that Africans born in this country were not citizens of the United States of America due to the Constitution drawn up in 1787. So he was trying to say that we were citizens, so I had to debate him. And then W.L. Lillard, the producer, like I said before, he put these men up to defeat me because he didn't like what I had said on a previous television show of his, he invited me on. He had a white co-host, and we were talking and having a conversation on that program. And the white co-host asked me a question, and I answered the question, and then I asked him a question, and he couldn't answer that. And he was and the cameras was rolling in his face, and he was stuttering and mumbling and fumbling around. So he didn't like that. So he had to get me on to, let's say, chastise me and bring me down to a low level of defeat, which he thought he would do, but it backfired on him. So that was a great debate. It was, oh man, that night, in 1993, that was a great night. And we had a live audience, and I would make my statements after everybody else had presented their position on their different religions and their positions on other things that they had to say about their subject. So when it came time to me, I had my position, and I was stating my position, and the people in the listening audience, they were clapping for me, and that upset W.L. Lillard, because that was not supposed to be. See, because I was supposed to be on there, like I said before, to be defeated, and I wasn't. So anyway, it was captured on tape, and you have copies of that. Is that correct, Brother Tarhaka?
Yes, I do. They'll have to go over to newdeadelimination.org, and they can do their donations over there. They can contact me by email or by phone, and we can make sure that they get a copy of the Great Debate. It's all done online. You can have your download, and you can see this thing. But Dr. Williams, did they apologize to you for trying to set you up that way?
No, they didn't apologize to me. I didn't want them to apologize to me. The tape and the conversation on the tape and the debate on the tape will tell you who won the debate. So I didn't want them to apologize. They're holding their position, so they're not going to apologize to me for being wrong. They're not going to say that they're wrong. They continue to hold that they're trying to justify themselves as being right. So therefore, they would have been admitting defeat if they did that. So they didn't do that, so which is okay. But once a person hears the debate, the listener can tell who won the debate. The audience out there that night told everybody who listened to that tape in Chicago or listened to that program in Chicago, because it was a local television show, they knew who won the debate. So, I don't need them to apologize to me. It's just a matter of that they couldn't defeat me, and I exposed them and their religion, and I exposed them as to their position on what they believe in. And so that's how that went. And the people who purchased this tape from you, they can view the tape and they can determine who won the debate. So that's how I would leave it like that.
Okay. Now, Lillard, he's a police officer, isn't he?
Well, Lillard was a sheriff's police. Yes, he was a police officer, and but he had a ego that was overblown. So therefore, if somebody tampered with his ego, then he, would go off on you, things like that. So, but he couldn't hem me up. He couldn't get me like he wanted to. But he tried. See, but it was all done in a professional manner. We didn't curse one another or anything like that. The only time that we had a voice, our voices was raised when I was debating Prince Oswald Ben Israel about the Black Hebrew Israelites and so forth and so on. So we had a little heated discussion there. But other than that, it was no name calling and no, rabble rousing or anything like that. But it was a very professional performance, you see. So a person who purchases the tape, look at your tape, then they can come away and tell who won the debate. According to the audience and my feedback from the audience and from other people who had later on saw the tape, they know who won the debate, and that was Walter Williams.
Okay, well now, Dr. Williams, I've looked at this thing over and over and over, and I find it quite incredible. And I, in my personal opinion, this is my personal opinion, I didn't see them bringing anything to the table from their position outside of the Bible as any form of evidence at all. I didn't see that. They kept saying within the confines of, in my personal opinion, this is just my personal opinion, from a book they know absolutely nothing about, but they want to debate no evidence, no facts, no nothing, and you tell us about your two books now, because you wrote two books, and you have verifiable information in these books that I think everybody should get. Tell us about that and how they can get those books.
Okay, well, my first book is called The Historical Origin of Christianity. The thesis of that book is saying that there's never been a man that ever walked the earth in human form of any race, creed, or color by the name of Jesus Christ. Never existed. That book has been out for 27 years now. 28 years now. And so that book is selling all over America, all in the UK, all in the Caribbean, all in every English-speaking country, in Africa, all over the globe. And so that book will give you a lot of information about the history of Christianity. And my second book is called The Historical Origin of Islam. The thesis of that book is saying there's never been a man that walked the earth in human form of any race, creed, or color by the name of Prophet Muhammad of Islamic tradition. That book has been out for 18 years, and it's selling all over America, the UK, the Caribbean, Australia, Africa, everywhere that people speak English. They are purchasing and buying these two books, which gives them a lot of information that no other books have was able to give them, because everybody seems to be baffled by these various religions, or they were embracing the religion themselves, so that therefore they couldn't write anything that was truthful or positive about these various religions, you see. So those are my two books, and you can get my two books at any of your local bookstores where you live in the community. You can go there, order my two books, in the African bookstore in your community, or any other bookstores in your community, Barnes and Nobles, etc., etc. And you can also go online to Amazon, and you can get copies of my books that way. And you can get my book from one of my distributors right here in Chicago, called the Underground Bookstore, which is owned by Brother Yoel. We have Brother Yoel on the program mostly every time we come on. But anyway, he's got a bookstore called the Underground Bookstore right here in Chicago, and you can order the books directly from him. You can call him at 773-768-8869. His phone number is 773-768-8869, the Underground Bookstore. And also, if there's any rare books that you're unable to find, or any books that may be out of print that you're unable to find, Brother Yoel is a good source for that because he has a lot of connections to find those books. So again, the Underground Bookstore, you can purchase my 2 books, or you can go to local bookstores in your community, African bookstore in your community, or Barnes and Nobles or any other bookstore in your community, or you can go online at Amazon and purchase both of my books, The Historical Origin of Christianity and The Historical Origin of Islam. Brother Tarhaka?
Okay, all right, fantastic. Dr. Williams, I got a caller with his hand raised, and before we get down into the broadcast, I'm going to open up the phone line and find out who this is. Area code 609, you're on the air. Tell us who you are, where you're calling from, what's your question or comment. Whoever it is, you got to cut your radio down. Tell us who you are, where you're calling from, what's your question or comment. Cut it down to the broadcast.
Yeah, 609. This is.
Cut your radio down. I can hear my voice up in there, man.
Okay, yeah. I cut the radio down. This is Gary Jolly from New Jersey. I was talking to you last month, and or was that November? Because I think you didn't do anything in December, right? Is that
I have
right?
to look at my record, but what's your question from a guest?
No, the question you said to email you, and because you didn't have time to answer the question I was asking at reference. But I had a couple other questions anyway. Forget about the last conversation. But now I was just curious. Some of the names I saw in the book, I obtained the historic origins of Christianity, and the Africans, like Sylvester I, who was given the donation of Constantine. Or I was wondering, how did they get all these English names? These so-called Africans, if they were, original African people, but the names that they have appear to be more like English names. So I was wondering if you had any information on that.
Well, it's a translation from one language to another. You got most of the people in the world today speak English. Okay,
right.
That came about, during the time and over the time of years and centuries. So I would say the answer to that would be through translation.
But so the original time period that to around Sylvester I was the guy that called the Conference of Nicaea in 325. So at that time, the African people, was that his real? That was the name that he was going by, English name, Sylvester, at that time?
Well, I can't answer that question. You can only take it from what I've written in the book. He was named Sylvester I. Now, how he got that name, I don't know. I can't answer that.
Yeah,
I can't answer that.
Yeah.
You got to remember that the Melkite Coptic Egyptians who created this world's first religion called Christianity, and who created a non-human called Christ and a non-human called the Virgin Mary, they spoke Greek. See? So what they did, they wrote the history, okay, and from that, from the translation of what they've written, comes into English, because, like I said before, the majority of the world today, as we know it today, they speak English. You see, so that's how that I would say that's how that got to be. That history got to be translated into English. I'm sorry.
Into English, okay. But so really, that may have not really been his real pronunciation, but they just translated the name to English. Just like you say, Christ at the conference of, what was it, Ephesus or whatever, one of those conferences.
Ephesus,
Yeah, they say Christo or something in Greek, right? Christo, something like that.
Christos.
Christos, yeah.
While the Amalekites were speaking Greek, they said, now this, after the amalgamation between the non-human, the Virgin Mary, and the non-human Serapis at the time, when that amalgamation was made, the Amalekite Coptic Egyptian speaking Greek said, now this is the Christos. Now,
yes.
in English, it was said, now this is the Christ. You see? And then another thing, my brother, is this. The names that we use today are not our names. That's not our African. My name is Walter Williams. That's a come from slavery. Yeah, you see, from English. See, so therefore, you can use that as a guide as to how Sylvester got his name Sylvester I. You see?
Yeah.
So that would be another answer to you.
But another question you said.
You got another question,
Christianity.
Bro?
You said Christianity was the first religion, right? Like that's what
first man-made religion. Yes.
First man-made religion, but they have a lot of literature on Hinduism, claiming that it predates Christianity. But
what date does it have?
But I'm not in agreement with the literature. Just like they have Jewish people, they wrote a lot of literature creating, like you say, they incarnate people in places like Mesopotamia and all these different places in the Bible. King Mesmer-I-am and all this stuff but you can't believe the stuff. Anything that a European wrote, I agree. You have to look at it with suspicion, and you can't believe what they're writing without investigating it. But that's what they claim, that the Hindu religion predates Christianity. Like
what day do they give it?
Around 3000 BCE, 3000 BCE. That's what they say. I don't believe it either. Like I believe that a lot of the stuff that they're saying in these religions are fabricated, because they have a lot of things that, just like Christianity, that they claim, like Jesus walked the earth and he was crucified and this happened and that happened, and come to find out when you research these, some of the claims that they make are just simply bogus, never occurred. So therefore, I'm just trying to get more information about it, because I can't, the only books that you find on that subject are written by religious people, and they're gonna carry the same information and just further the same that other people. They're just repeating information, just like the black preachers that you see in the churches are just simply repeating, and they'll show you like a book to back up what they're saying that is just repeating lies that some Jewish people wrote or something like that. They created all these fictional characters and in the Bible, like Abraham and Isaac and all this stuff like that. It's all just, it's a literature that they can produce. They can give you a book and point you out to verify what they're preaching in the church, but the books that they're giving you, it's provably fabricated, some of it, but some of it is not so much provable. It's just like a theory, that they say. It's like
brother, you have another question, brother, because we got to move on.
Now, what I was asking Dr. Williams, if he had any other information on Hinduism as far as the origin of it, like if you knew of any other sources like that are more reliable than the traditional sources.
Well, see, there's a timeline out there in history. I feel like there's a timeline out there in history, according to Western academia, about the timeline of races and men. So there's a timeline says that the world's first and oldest civilized people on earth were Africans, known in history as ancient Egyptians. And their time began at 10,000 BC. Okay?
Right.
And then the second oldest people on planet Earth is the Indians of India. and their time beginning in 2500, not to exceed 3000 BCE.
Yeah, right. That's what they claim is when this Hinduism thing was started or whatever, like around that period. Then they said that the third oldest people are the yellow race, which is the Chinese, started at 1500, not to see 2000 BC, and then the white race, they have no known history, you see. But I put the beginning history for the Europeans as when Alexander the Greek came into Egypt in 332 BCE. That's the beginning time for the Europeans beginning history. But you go back to India. I mean, you can't. They had no literature to put any religion out. They had no religious literature, or they had no religion, period, because the concept of religion had not developed among humanity. You see, so that would be my answer to you. And I would, if I was you, I would further investigate that Hinduism and Buddhism. Buddhism is an offspring of Hinduism, so forth and so on. Right.
You see, so I would investigate a little further. Right now, I would say, no, that's not true. The Indians never produced any type of religion. Only when religion came into vogue, and the world's first religion was Christianity, that was produced in Ephesus by the Melchite Coptic Egyptian, taking Serapis and created him into the non-human called Christ, and taking the non-human called the Virgin Mary as his mother, to be his mother, as Christ, you see. So there's a lot of investigative research one has to do. And like you already stated, as you already know, you got to be very careful reading and taking in European information, because you might be fooled, because you got to remember that all religions, no matter what name you call it, is based off of one's belief. You see, so you got to everything centers around the first and oldest civilized people on earth. That's where the world is centered around at this very moment that I'm talking to. So you got to go back there and start there first and see what happened, what was going on in that civilization, the world's first and oldest civilization, and so forth. And then you can trace through that history into the coming of religion, man-made religion. So I would say, be very cautious on, the things that you're studying, and dig a little deeper, Okay. So, but you asked very good
right,
question.
brother, we're going to move on. Thank you, Dr. Williams.
Thanks. Thank you. Okay.
All right. You're welcome. Bro, Dr. Williams, now, I want to, I got a few questions here about this God thing. In your personal opinion, where does the concept of God come from?
The concept of God comes from religion. All religions has a God. Christianity has two gods, an invisible God, and they have a symbol of God, the Son of God, which is Jesus the Christ. Islam has Allah as God, invisible. Judaism has a symbol of God, Yahweh and Jehovah, invisible. One has to believe it, you see. And then you got Hinduism. Hinduism has a God too, and a goddess. And then Buddhism has Buddha as a God, you see. So all religions has a God attached to it. Now, when you get into Christianity, the ministers in these churches will tell you that God created man in his own image. That means that God that they're talking about, who created man, is a man. Because you create something in your own image that looks like you, and you say that God created man in his own image, that means that this God that's created man is a man himself. You see? So you have to start at that point. And then, as you go further in religion, Christianity especially, they speak of God as he, his, or him. That relates you back to a gender, a man, a male. Then you go into the dictionary and you look up the word God, and the dictionary says that God is a male deity. Takes you back to man again. You see? And then in these churches, they tell you that God created the heavens and the earth. That's not true. See, if you use your analytical mind and think about what has been said about God, God cannot create the heavens and the earth. The heavens and the earth means that God created the sky, the planets, the stars, the moon, the sun, air, earth, water, vegetation, animals, and humanity. That God did all this. See, what God? An invisible God. They have you to believe that. But the key here's why they want you to believe that, is that they are relating the symbol and the icon of Christianity, this dead white man on the cross, as being God. You see? So when you talk about God, mostly the average Christian speaks of Jesus as being God. You see? Because you've been taught that by way of belief. And these religions are passed on to an individual human by their parents, their grandparents, or whoever raised them in their early child developing age. So they teach this virus and pass this virus on to this child in their early developing age to believe in God. So then they take them to church, and the church enhances their belief by speaking of God in ceremonies and sermons and so forth and so on. So this is where they're getting God from. God is a man. A man has no power by himself. He has to be mated with goddess, the female, who has no power by herself. The two has to be mated together in order to create procreation, something with life in it. Other than that, if there's no encounter sexually between the two, there's no pro-life. So therefore, by themselves, individually, they can't create anything with life in it. If you, for instance, wherever you are at this very moment that I'm speaking, wherever room you're in, wherever part of your house that you're in, look around you, and you see different objects in that room or around you that was created by man or created by the female. But everything you see around you is dead, has no life in it, until you come along and put life in it. You see? These religions has no life in no religion. That's the reason why they tell you, do you believe? Do you believe in the Lord Jesus Christ? The Bible is a book that one has to believe in. You have to believe in that. So therefore, you give the Bible life. You give these religions life by your belief and believing in these various religions. There's no Prophet Muhammad ever walked this earth in human form according to Islamic tradition. No. If you believe that there was a Prophet Muhammad, then this Prophet Muhammad is alive. You, from your spirituality that you injected into these various religions. You see? Now, let's get down to the nitty-gritty and find out who is God. Who is God? You got 8 billion, humans walking this earth as human beings. 8 billion humans walking this earth as human beings. Every human walking this earth of all races, creeds, and color has a God, a personal God. And every human walking this earth has a father and a mother. So the man who you call father, or daddy, or refer to the world as your father, that's your personal God. And you have a personal goddess, which is your mother. You see? So therefore, your father God and your goddess mother had to have a sexual intercourse, and your father God released his sperm that your goddess mother's egg received at the time of that release, thus causing 9 months of incubation in her body to develop you as a human being. So therefore, you individually, or the individual human, any member of the 8 billion humans that's walking this earth at this very moment that I'm talking, has a personal God, and that's the man that they call father or dad or daddy or whatever the case might be. That's who God is. And God is a man-made fabrication of something that put into religion again, that all religion has a God. And mainly this Christian religion, because this Christian religion, they have 2 gods, an invisible one, like I said, and they have a symbol of a physical one, this dead white man on the cross, and they want you to refer to this dead white man on the cross as God. Now, when you go into these ancient, go back into ancient times, and you go back into these ancient people living on earth at that time, they didn't, like the ancient Egyptians, they didn't have no gods. They had, they paid homage to their ancestors, you see? So they, later on, when Western academia got hold to the world's mind, then they interjected God into the concept of ancient Egypt. See? So, no, God, the man, and God, like I said, is attached to every human on earth, which is their personal God, which is their father, and their mother goddess, which is their mother. And the 2 had this sexual intercourse to create every human on earth, as I speak. Brother Tarhaka?
Okay, Dr. Williams, that was wonderfully explained to us. But in my opinion, the next step is for the individual listener to unshackle themselves from the concept and to come to the realization by using common sense and look at all the scientific information that's available to you. But the foundation, in my opinion, should be just common sense. I mean, if an individual look and say, well, look, I'm 25 years old, I'm 30, I'm 15 or 16 or 17, and I live to be 20 or 25 years old or older, have I ever seen God? And if I was injured in some kind of way, or hurt or harmed or something, why didn't God prevent it? There was a young boy, his name is George Stinney. He was, I don't even think that boy was 9 years old, and he was accused of by white folks of doing something that he didn't know nothing about. And they took him and put him in the electric chair and electrocuted that child. This is what the Caucasian has done to this child. And the list goes on and on and on, and the murders in the South, and the lynchings, and the beheadings, and the rapes, and all of this stuff. And it amazes me to see our people continue to run behind this invisible concept, construct, instead of unshackling yourself from this stuff. And when you are able to do that, then you are able to do on this earth what you should have done hundreds of years ago in regards to your enemies. And once you unshackle yourself from that, you have no fear. It will roll off your back like water off the back of a duck. And but I'm not going to get all down into that. But let's deal with this concept about angels. What is that? We see these images of these creatures, and they're supposed to have these wings. And what's your take on that, Dr. Williams? Now we're talking about this God thing.
Well, the angels was created as an intermediary between the human being trying to contact God. And God, in this instance, was Jesus Christ. In other words, the angels used, if you want to contact Jesus or God, you had to go through an angel, to do that. You see, and that concept was created at the Council of Nicaea II in 787, the iconoclasm controversy that was done in 787. And I speak about it when I give lectures on the council meetings. So that was done at that council meeting in 787, the Council of Nicaea II. At that council meeting, they declared this Christ as being God, and that if you want to talk to this God called Christ, you have to go through the angels to do that, you see. And that's where the angel concept came from, right out of that council meeting. So one has to study history in order to understand what I'm saying. And again, like you said, open up your analytical mind and begin to think. That's what it's all about. Now, at one time, I, Walter Williams, believed in Santa Claus. And I can surely make that statement for millions and billions of other people throughout the world. They also believe in Santa Claus. You were told as a child that this big fat white man in the sky being driven by a team of reindeers. He had a sleigh full of toys to bring to you. If you be a good boy, he'll come down the chimney and leave presents for you on Christmas Day. And you believe that. I believed it. My mother told me, says, brother, if you be a good boy, Santa Claus is going to bring you all kinds of gifts. I said, okay. And the next morning, when Christmas Day came, I had toys under the tree. But as I was growing, one day during the Christmas month, I happened to go into a closet, and there were all these toys in there. So at that point, I realized that my mother was Santa Claus, that there was no Santa Claus. So as I grew, I eliminated my belief in a Santa Claus. But then, what replaces your belief in Santa Claus is this Jesus the Christ, or Christianity. You see? So they put that in its place for one to believe in. Now, just like you said, we could never, ever be free by worshiping our enemy on the cross. as long as we go into these churches and bow down to this dead white symbol and this image on that cross, we as an African people will never ever be free at all. We won't be free, because when you do that, you put yourself in bondage. You give away all your spiritual power to that dead white image on that cross. And I have asked Christians, do you think that the white race will take their children into a church where a big black African Jesus is hanging on the wall and teach their children and their family that that black Jesus was their God and Savior? Do you think they would do that? The answer would be hell no. They wouldn't do that. So then why are we as an African people going to these churches worshiping our enemy on the cross? This dead white image, this symbol of Christianity, this symbol, an icon, is symbolized in every Christian church all over America and all throughout the world. And that symbol that's hanging on that cross, it's called Jesus Christ, is a symbol of white supremacy. So when you go to church and you bow down to this image, you're participating in your own demise, and you're also participating in upholding white supremacy. That's what you're doing. And so I asked the Christians another question. Christians of African descent, what is the name of your God that looks like you? And today, I have no answer coming from that community, from our community. It's not there. So we're going to have to come to grips with reality, because belief is very dangerous. Belief is only saying to an individual, I don't know, but I believe it. You believe it in blind faith. There's no evidence, no facts to what you believe in. I ask Christians also, beyond your belief, set that aside. Beyond your faith in your belief, set that aside. What do you know about Christianity that's based on facts? Not what you believe and not what you have faith in, but facts. Facts are stronger than argument, more profound than reasoning, more dependable than opinions. Silences dispute, supersedes prediction, and facts always ends the argument if you know the facts. So therefore, we're looking for the facts and not belief. And that goes for every religion, every man-made religion, because all religions are created by man. No human, if you can understand this, no human on earth was born with a religion. If you really understand that, all humans was born with a spirituality that was given to them by their creators, who their creators are their mothers and their fathers. They are the ones that created you, me, us, every human walking this earth of all races, creeds, and color. Once our father's sperm was released inside of your mother, and your mother's egg received that sperm, that caused 9 months of incubation in your mother's womb. At the end of the 9 months, you and I and every human on earth came out of their mother's body, attached to her umbilical cord. That umbilical cord was cut to separate you from your mother. But life was still going on and surging through your body. The life that you have in your body at this very moment, no matter how old you may be, is the gift that was given to you by your creators and your creatress, which is your mother and your father. Your father and your mother gave you a gift of spirituality. And this life and spirit is inside of you as you hear my voice speak. So therefore, if you can realize that you, the human being, was not born with a religion, that man gave you the religion, to control your thinking and your actions. Like Carter G. Woodson said, if you can control a man's thinking, you do not have to worry about his actions. And that's true. If he's been taught to go to a back door of a building or house, to enter that house or building, if you don't find a back door there, he'll make one because he's used to and been trained that if you go to the back, you'll find a door to enter. So, belief is very dangerous, and we cannot go by belief anymore. We have to grow out of that. And like Tarhaka is trying to tell us, that this program that he has produced for us Africans in this country and throughout the world, this program is to provoke thought, for you to think, okay? Think, just think. If you can do that, then our job has been done. And this program that you're listening to has hit its target and made its point. If this information that is imparted by Brother Tarhaka and myself and others who come on this program, if it gets you to think, that's what we want you to do. Brother Tarhaka?
All right, Dr. Williams, well put. We have another caller with his hands raised. I'm going to open up the phone line here at area code 312. 312, you're on there. Tell us who you are, what's your question or comment, and where you're calling us from.
I'm calling you from this, what used to be called the Windy City, now it's the Snowy City right now, called Chicago, Illinois. And this is Brother Yoel from Underground Bookstore signing on.
Welcome, my brother. Welcome. Come on in here. I have a question for you. What is your take on this concept called God? How you see this thing, Brother Yoel?
Well, first of all, I think that this concept called God is probably way deeper than what most people think that it is, and by that I mean that so you ask somebody what they think, or who is God, or what is God, they will give you probably, I would say, really probably less than mediocre kind of response to what they think that means. So I think that it's bigger. The concept is bigger than what most people think that it is. And not many of us were brought up understanding how any study or what you call any research behind this concept called God. We just brought up, told, believe in God, and that's it. Not went out and did research and come up with some, as Professor Williams just stated, facts. We didn't go and find any facts. Nobody presented us with any facts. All our facts were just stuff that they introduced us through the Bible, and that's it. But I think it's a concept. I just think that it's a concept bigger than what most people realize, and we just only scratched the surface of what that concept is. I think we need to go beyond the surface to get the meat of the matter and really understand what that may or may not. Even if we discover there's no such thing, we will went beneath the surface to find that out. So we got to go go deeper in on that, and what's the difference between creator, God, which is, all those terms, we don't have a clue as to what they mean. And then these schools that I think that they go to, the schools of theology, I think they purposely, once again, controlling what you think and teaching these people these thoughts that they themselves have put together and that they believe. Like I got a customer right now going to school to be a rabbi. Well, the schools that he goes to, I'm pretty sure that they're not going to teach him the real deal there in the first place. He's just going to another place where they're going to brainwash him again. And unless he do some research outside of that school and the school work that they recommend for him to read, then he going to be right back where he started from even before he started the class. But he might have a little bit more information now because they shared with him some other information, that he add to that, but he won't know too much more than what he did before he went in. So I just think that this thing needs to be investigated because it's so important to people. Because Bobby Hemmett asked some of the questions some years back, and he said, "What if your God was the devil and your devil was God?" That was really a kind of an abstract way of him putting something out there and provoking thought once again. But what if that was true? You don't know it because you ain't investigated. So I think we just need to do the work and investigate what God is. That's all.
No. What, Dr. Williams, what you think about that?
Well, I think that what he was saying makes sense. It balances itself out. The idea of provoking thought, and this is what Brother Yoel was saying in his presentation, that one has to provoke thought. Start thinking. Just like he mentioned about Bobby Hemmett. Ask that question, what's the difference between God and the devil? That's a good question, you see. So we're going to have to provoke thought because God is not your friend, not our friend, okay? It's not a friend to the African people in America and throughout the world. It's not a friend. God is not a friend to humanity. All right? Now, you go into these churches and you bow down to this dead white image on the cross they call Jesus Christ, and you look upon this Jesus Christ as being your God. I'm talking about you Africans now. But when you come out of these churches, now you've been in these churches praying to your God to give you protection. But when you come out of these churches, there's this white male, these white people out there waiting for you to put you into slavery. And God does nothing to prevent that. Then you go back in these churches and you pray again to this same God that you look to protect you. And then you come out of these churches and these same white people out there with a big rope to lynch you. God says nothing, never prevent these people from lynching you. Then you go into these churches again and you pray and you bow down and you scrape and you hoop and holler and all that kind of stuff. You pour out on the floor and you go break out into tears and so forth and so on. Then you come out of these churches, the same white man who is the image and the likeness of this image on that cross that you've been bound down to. He's out there with Jim Crow laws to keep you from being human, to dehumanize you. See? So I can go on and on about God. God is not your friend. God is not our friend. God is not a friend of humanity. You got this COVID virus floating all over the world. Where's God? He ain't said a damn thing. All these people dying out here. You're getting close to, in America now, you're getting close to 500,000 people who have died because of this disease. Now those people, which numbers now over 430 30,000 people, they were Christians. Most of them were Christians. They believed in God, but where was God? Why didn't God step in and say, no, I'm going to prevent these Christians from dying? At least they pray to me, you see. But no, God hasn't done that. I haven't seen no God. The world hasn't seen no God doing a damn thing for humanity. And the American African in this country cannot say that God is his friend, because there's no evidence of that. So God is not your friend. And that's the name of this program, the title of this program tonight, God is not your friend. And that's some of the reasons why that God is not our friend or your friend or the friend of humanity. Brother Tarhaka?
Okay, well, I got another question. I want to direct this question at both of y'all. And Brother Yoel, I'll start with you. In your opinion, can God be defined outside of religion? Does he exist outside of religion, in your opinion? Can we separate the two?
I think so, yes. Or the concept or the idea of this God, yes.
Okay, so I'm
not sure if it will go over to facts, but you can be explored outside of religion, yes.
Okay, so if I'm gonna build a house, I can put God on it. It had to do with carpentry, electrician, or if I'm welding something, I can put God on it. I just build a house and shut up about God?
This is the house that God built, right?
What do you think about that, Dr. Williams? Can we? Does God exist outside of religion? Because the only time I've ever known been a part of anything that had something to do with God or with God come up, and it's always some type of religious connotation that is attached to it.
That's correct. Well, let me say this.
I don't see no science.
Right. And I don't either. So I would say, to answer your question, that outside of religion, you cannot find God. Like I said before, God is in every religion. Every religion, you find God. Now, you got 8 billion humans walking this earth as human beings of all races, creeds, and color. You got 500 million humans who are atheists. You got another 500 million humans that are agnostics. So therefore, the atheists and the agnostics make up 1 billion humans. So now you got 7 billion humans believing in some type of religion of some kind or some sort. And the atheist says that there is no God. He don't believe that foolishness. The agnostic says that, well, it may be and maybe not. He's straddling the fence. He don't know. You see? So now, the atheist will tell you and proves to the world that there's no God, because he don't believe in that. His life is not centered around that belief. His life is centered around knowing that there's no God. You see? You take these people who are billionaires and millionaires. They don't believe in no God. They only believe in one God. And if you go and look in your pocketbooks and retrieve a dollar bill from your purse, pocketbooks, or wallets, And you look on the back, it says, in God we trust. That's who they believe in. They don't believe in no invisible God, because God is an invisible ideology. God is a concept that one has to what? Believe in. And these millionaires and billionaires believe in one God, and they put it on the back of the dollar bill, in God we trust. So, outside of religion, my answer to that question, you cannot find God. Only inside of religion you find God. So that's my answer, Brother Tarhaka.
Okay, Dr. Williams, thank you. Brother Yoel, you have anything else to add before we take a quick break?
No, not really.
Okay. Well, I'm going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. Y'all hold on a moment.
But it depends on what they say their religion requires them to do. It's very simple. Don't argue with people about religion, period. The system of white supremacy is the strongest religion on the planet right now. There's no religion that comes anywhere close to having the power of mistreating people based on color. There's no religion that anywhere compares with that. Whenever the white supremacists show up and say, hey, I don't care what your religion is. I mean, this color thing is my religion. Dominating and mistreating people based on color. And any religion that is opposed to that, you got to answer to me. And so far, everybody has. Everybody of every great religion, no matter what that religion is. I don't need to name them, but you know what the great religions of the planet are. I mean, people who say that they have this religion, they don't go up against the white supremacists, not with any muscle, but not with any really show that they're serious. They don't do it. They don't do it. They back down. They back down. They back down. They back down. All of them put together back down and say, well, you know, we'll, you know, that we'll, well, I don't know, we'll look into that. I mean, somehow, you know, we'll deal with it. We'll find, you know, some way down the road, maybe, you know. That's what has been shown, and you don't have to believe me. Just look at it. I mean, you take one religion very prominent in the northwestern hemisphere, Christianity, and you still have something called, not a Christian church, you have something called a black church. Now just that alone ought to make you think. A black church? They say, well, it's a black church, but it's a Christian church. Well, wait a minute. What's that black thing got to do with it? Black church, white church. That white man went into a black church and killed black people because they were black. All right. Okay, well, wait a minute. What's a black church being got, you know, wait, this is Christian. Everybody coming together in Christ. Well, and I've heard some black people kind of hint at this. Well, everybody under their own vine and fig tree, and I don't particularly like the way that they sing. Oh, now it's going to come down to cosmetics. Singing, you don't like the way that somebody sings? All right, style. You know, it's not about style, it's about substance. We're going to have to face up to this. I mean, really. Seriously, because we are playing. We are playing, and we got to face up to that. That's probably why we're not being answered by what we say when we pray all the time and nothing seems to change. Maybe our format is not correct. Now, either we're, going to have a religion or you're not, because the white supremacists got one. In answer to your question, they got the strongest that the world has ever seen. And when they say we practice white supremacy, in other words, we practice what we preach. We just don't preach. We practice every bit of what we preach. And that is dominating and mistreating people of color. And we do an excellent job, and we don't fudge on any of it. We don't dance around any of it. We don't make excuses for the parts that we don't practice because we practice all of it. Now, how many other people out here who say that they have a religion practice all of their religion 24/7 every day? Not like the white supremacists. In answer to your question, that's how you put it out there. And you ask people, what does your religion do in opposition to the system of white supremacy? The strongest religion in the world. Now you can have a discussion about which is the strongest religion in the world and go by evidence, not by how you think you feel. Just have a discussion about it, but don't argue. Just have a discussion. Ask questions. What does your religion do about the religion of white supremacy? Sir, ma'am, and wait for the answer. So far, most people haven't done very much.
Okay, we're back, ladies and gentlemen. Y'all hold on a moment, and we'll be opening back up the phone.
I'm Tarhaka. You know it takes more than a UCC-1 filing to become a secured party and creditor. Your trust is essential. Understanding public and private and your proper status is also a part of being a secured party and creditor, and not a debtor. To do the thing right, go to www.newdataelimination.com. That's newdataelimination.com. Learn what private banking is all about. Learn what the lawyers and judges know. newdataelimination.com. Contact me, Tarhaka Amana L. Bay, and when you do, I'll answer the phone. We're available from 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time up until 6:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. newdataelimination.com.
Okay, we back. That's newdataelimination.org now. .org, y'all. newdataelimination.org. Dr. Williams, Brother Yoel, we're back. And I wanted to ask you guys, where can we find the definition of God besides the dictionary? Is there any other books that we can get that definition from?
Well, I don't know of any definition that you can, or a place where you can get the definition of God other than the dictionary or the encyclopedia. You know, so it's those definitions are written by and created by man. So, but the thing about it, Brother Tarhaka, you have to use your own analytical mind about this. When you use your own analytical mind about God, you have to do some thinking. Like you always tell your listening audience, our listening audience, that one has to think that we were born with a brain. And within that brain, we have the ability to think. But when an individual, for instance, embraces religion and go into these churches and bow down in these churches to the dead white man on the cross, and when you go into these churches, you don't have to think. You go in there and give away all your power to this image on that cross. That image on that cross is our enemy. So these religions, no matter what religion it may be, whether it's Christianity, Islam, Judaism, Hinduism, Buddhism, Zoroastrianism, no matter what religion may be, it's all created by man. And you have to keep these religions alive by your belief. That's how you keep religions alive, by one's belief. So, you give away all your spiritual power to believe in these various religions. And then the Bible is the companion literature for Christianity, Old and the New Testament. the stories written in the Bible is written for the Christians to believe in. If you don't believe in the narrative stories in the Bible is dead. It's dead anyway. Because it's full of dead literature connected to a dead religion. And in order to keep the religion alive and the Bible alive comes from the individual human being who believe in both. So, again, you got to know what you're doing as to what these religions are doing to you, us as a people, African people, throughout America and all over the world. So that's what I have to say to that, Brother Tarhaka.
Okay, Dr. Williams, thank you very much. Brother Yoel, you with us?
Yes, sir. I am.
All right. Now, I got two questions for you, back to back. You can answer either one of them, whichever way you want to do it. The first question is a yes or no question for you. Question number one, have you ever seen God? Yes or no? Question number two, who and what is God in your opinion?
Well, I see. It depends on how you want to look at that first question. If I've seen God, I see Him all the time when I see my brothers, my sisters. You know, the trees, everything that's natural in nature. I see what is called God, but I don't use the term God like that. I only use that for references for people who basically are there with God. When I talk about the supreme being, and I think more so creator. Okay, now that creator can be what they call androgynous, both masculine and feminine. Okay, now I don't mean with a vagina or a penis, both organs and stuff like that. I don't mean like that, but in its development or in its essence, it's both male and not male and female, but masculine and feminine principles involved there, which is also in ourselves. So, and when I see this, when the second question you asked was who is God? Was it?
Who and what is God?
Okay, then I think you only have to look in the mirror and you see God. At least the idea of what you call God, because you create what you will yourself. If you want to create something, but if you don't, then you don't create anything. But I think it's I think outside of that, I think there's a supreme being that most people flirt around with or talking about, but I don't think most people understand in totality what that is, and I don't claim to know in totality what that is myself, but I understand that it's bigger than what the thought or the idea it is, in my opinion. But I will say this though, in Wayne Chandler's book, Ancient Future, he has a couple of prophecies that will supposedly happen that of future things, and what was telling prophecies of what was to come and that kind of stuff. And one of those prophecies I remember in this book, he said it came out of Egypt, and it was a conversation that took place between Tahuti and Imhotep. And of course, we know that logically, Imhotep and Tahuti didn't wasn't contemporaries and stuff like that, and you might even say maybe it was a construct of an idea. But I would say that myself, based on my level of understanding, that Imhotep was probably in a meditative state of consciousness, and he was communing with himself or his higher self or Tahuti, and in doing so, supposedly these prophecies come this one coming out of Egypt. It states it talks about what was the things that were to happen and what all this kind of stuff, and then but the interesting part is when it closes, it says let me just see. I'll just read it here. It says, when all these things come to pass, Imhotep, then the master, the father, the God whose power is primary, will take a stand against vices and perversions in everything, right and wrongs, washing away malice in a flood, or consuming it in a fire, or ending it by spreading pestilent disease everywhere. Then he will restore the world to its beauty of old, so that the world itself will again seem deserving of worship and wonder. Now, that sounds like he called Imhotep God in that prophecy. Okay? I don't know how to look at that, but spreading pestilence disease everywhere, we can say that's taking place right now with Corona. So I don't know. I'm a student. I'm just trying to figure it all out. But I find that to be interesting and something and that concept or that word God was used in that prophecies. Now, who translated that and who made it God, I don't know. And the brother don't expound on it in his book like that. But it's an interesting take. That's something that says that somebody bigger than you is gonna step in somewhere. That's what this is saying. But it's coming out of Egypt.
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps you can enlighten me, Professor Williams, or you on that.
Well, I think that what Joel was expounding on is based off of metaphysics. And metaphysics is not history. Metaphysics is used by an individual concerning his own opinion. And if you use metaphysics, which is a concept beyond the physical, if you use metaphysics in your statements, then you're going into something that you really don't know anything about, and you're going to use ancient Egyptians as your backdrop and foundation for your statements. You can possibly get away with it, but it's known as New Thought theology. And the ancient Egyptians did not have a civilization that one could understand. They had a civilization based off of symbols. So it is one's idea, especially one who uses metaphysics as the base foundation of their so-called knowledge. So I would say that that concept is New Thought based off of metaphysics, and metaphysics is not human history. That's what I would say about that. Now, people have asked me, Dr. Williams, do you believe in God? The answer is no. I believe in Walter Williams. I believe in myself. Because I know that who God is. God created me, and God has created me with the two, my mother and father, created Walter Williams. That I know. Okay? So I don't have to believe in an invisible God, something that I've never seen. And then you got to go back to creation, the heavens and the earth. They say God created. But see, that's creation. Has nothing to do with God. In creation, this male and female is part of creation. You see? Go back to the very first man and the first woman ever walking this earth. I can't tell you who they are, but they are part of creation. And in order for us to get to this point in world human history or into world human existence at this very moment, okay? Part of creation. The sky, the stars, the planets, moon, the sun, air, earth, water, animals, vegetation, and humanity is all part of creation. Now, what created all these entities I just named? I don't know. It's called the mystery of life. We will never, ever know that. Because we, as individual humans, I don't care what race, creed, or color that you may be, you do not know how you got here as a human being. I can't tell you how Walter Williams got here. Tarhaka Presents can't tell the world how he got here, nor can Brother Yoel or any human on earth. You found yourself here at a conscious age, memory in your mind. I found myself here at 4. Tarhaka told me, correct me if I'm wrong, Tarhaka, that you found yourself here at 3. And Brother Yoel, when did you find yourself here consciously?
I couldn't tell you. Probably my earliest memory was somewhere around that I could go back to is probably I don't know, 8, 9 years old.
Okay. Well, okay, fine. So from 0 to 8 or 9, you have no conscious memory of Brother Yoel. Is that correct?
Nope.
So therefore, you found yourself here at 8 or 9 years old in a geographical land area. Whereabout on earth, Brother Yoel?
Mm-hmm.
Where did you find yourself at 8 or 9 years old geographically? Where?
In Mississippi.
In Mississippi. And you found yourself belonging to a certain race of people. And those people were called Negroes. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so now, if you take your experience and I take my experience, I found myself here on earth at 4 years old, living in Chicago, Illinois, belonging to a certain race of people called Negroes. If we take that experience and multiply it to every race on earth, you realize that the Chinese cannot tell you how he got into China. He only found himself in China as a Chinese. He don't know how he got there. The people of India found themselves in India as an Indian of India. They don't know how they got there. The Africans of Africa cannot tell you how they got into Africa as an African. They found themselves there. See? So no human can tell you how they got here on earth. That they only found themselves here at a conscious memory in their minds. You see? So you take that and realize the situation that all of humanity is in. Found yourself here on earth. So therefore, you don't know how you got here because you cannot tell me about your 9 months of incubation in your mother's body. You can't tell me at what month your eyeballs came in, what month your toes and feet came in, what month your hands and fingers came in, arms and legs and so forth. You can't say that. You only found yourself here consciously at certain ages that you can remember. See, so one has to sit down and begin to think. How did I learn that? I had to sit down and I began to use my analytical mind. Tarhaka knows about numbers, numerals. He's a great numbers man. He can tell your fortune. All you got to do is give him your birthday. Tell him what day you was born and so forth and so on, and he'll run you down like he's reading out of a book on you, because he's done it to me. So I know that. So he's a numbers man. He can do that. See, so, but he had to one day sit down and think about these numbers. It just didn't pop in his head. It took him some time and some years to think through this, you know. And he got the numerology that he can produce according to your birth date. So that's what I have to say about that, Brother Tarhaka.
Okay. Brother UL, you got anything else to add?
I think that when you talk about God, I think that even the Egyptians had had some concept of or idea of supreme being in their philosophy or teachings or whatever. Is that correct, Professor?
What was that, Brother Yoel?
Even the Egyptians, reading this prophecy, I say even the Egyptians have some concept of supreme being, whether you call it God, the supreme being, or creator in their philosophy.
I can't say that because, see, the ancient Egyptians never wrote a history of themselves. You can't say that. You see, these people out here who's talking about ancient Egypt and using certain statements about them, this is, coming from either European, putting these thoughts out there, or they're conjured up by themselves or someone else. The ancient Egyptians never wrote a history of themselves. They didn't say all that. They had a symbolic existence. See? So therefore, no one can really tell you about the ancient Egyptians, only about what they think about it. They're what they glean from ancient Egypt. See? But you can't say the ancient Egyptians believe this way and the ancient Egyptians said this and the ancient Egyptians said that. No, you can't say that. That's the reason why you never hear me talk about what the ancient Egyptians believe and what they said and all that kind of. You don't hear me say that. See, because I don't know. See, and they don't know either. That's a way of trying to control ancient Egypt. They don't know anything about the ancient Egyptians because ancient Egyptians never told us about themselves. They only left symbols for you to assume certain things about them, like the hieroglyphs. The hieroglyphics have never been deciphered. In order for you to understand about the hieroglyphics, you have to ask the ancient Egyptians who drew those symbols what he or she meant for them to be. So today, especially coming from Western academia, they take these symbols and they put an alphabet to it. You can't do that. They say this symbol means this symbol means that. Did the ancient Egyptians say that? Or is this what you have conjured up? You see? So you have to, it sounds good what these people conjured up. Oh, this is Tahuti and he said this and all that kind of stuff. That sounds good. I call that entertainment thoughts, entertainment theology, something that they don't know nothing about. It's called New Thought theology. New Thought theology is based off of metaphysics. Metaphysics cannot be used as human history. That's all I'm saying. So that's where I stand, Brother Tarhaka, Brother Yoel.
Okay. Let's take a look at something else, y'all. And I want y'all to, when I'm done with this, I want y'all to give me your personal opinion. What if I told you that, because I know you all have heard of past, present, and future. We're under the impression that we live and move and have our being in the present. And yesterday was the past, and we look forward to move and live and have our being in the future. But when we look at this scientifically, the only place I think that we can live is in the past. In order for us to live in the present, it'll probably stop our heart. So we can only live in the present, I think, a fraction of a second. So let's take a look at the past for a minute. Now, the statements that I just made, where are they now? They're in the past. I want to say 1, 2, 3. Where's that now? It's in the past. When are we going to get to the present? Now, I just said, when are we going to get to the present? Where's that now? It's in the past. When are we going to get to the present? Isn't that interesting? What y'all think about that?
That's very interesting, Brother Tarhaka. And what I think about that is this. The past and the present is one and the same. The past and the present is one and the same. One and the same.
Okay.
So therefore, you got to have both of them in order to get to the future.
All right.
So you can have. Go ahead.
Now I was going to go ahead. I'm listening. Finish.
Yeah. Like I said, the past and the present is one and the same, because the present, like you said, passes by so quick that you're really not out of the present. I mean, you're really not out of the past. So the past and the present is one and the same, because the present, that the seconds that you're in the present will also keep you in the past. So it's so quick.
Mm-hmm.
See? So therefore, the past and the present is one and the same. You cannot get around it.
Okay. Well, Brother Yoel, what you think?
Well, here's where my beginning stages come with belief. Okay.
Okay.
I think that we live and dwell in all three dimensions at the same time. Some of what you do, like you said, with is past, and some is present. But my thoughts right now, today, in the present, create my future already, depending on what I say or do. And it's a good concept of that future thing is the law of attraction, as they refer to it. That's a thought that I had today, but tomorrow it comes into fruition. If I understood and I did this practice of science of all of life correctly and made that thing or whatever it is that my thoughts were today focused on creating my future. And as long as I don't expire, that's a positive possibility that which I thought today will come true. So I think that's why I think we live in all three. at the same
Well,
time.
let me make sure I understand this now.
Come on.
Dr. Williams said the president in the past, and we just conducted an experiment. I just come out with we can only move and have our being in the past. And I just said that it's already in the past. It's a fraction of a second. Now I don't think we know a minute didn't pass, but anyway, so my understanding based on what you were saying is, if you want to accomplish something, let's say, well, you want to, we'll say, buy a brand new Cadillac, and tomorrow you have the money to buy that Cadillac, and you go and buy that Cadillac, you're now officially in the future. Is that what you're saying?
No, the thought of it today is projecting me into the future. Tomorrow, when tomorrow comes and I go by that, it becomes the past. Because I done did it already now. The man got my money. I was going 2 minutes ago and it's done.
Okay. All right. Well, let's look at it, gentlemen, from a mathematical standpoint. Now, we already talked about the number 3, mother, father, and child. 1 + 2 = 3. And they try to throw us off with the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost. We done already did all of that. But let's take a look at the number 2 this time. We got the present, and then we got the past. 1 + 1 = 2. Present and past. Because, and the reason I have to say it this way is because ever since I came in the world, I've been trying to make it to the future and ain't got there yet. I'm still stuck in the past, because every action that I've ever took was immediately propelled into the past. Every step I ever took, every breath I ever inhaled and exhaled automatically went to the past. I'm scuffling and fighting and scuffling and attempting to live in the present. I believe, and I don't want to use that term, so I had to say I think that if I live in the present, my heart will definitely stop beating and everything else on this planet will stop. In order for me to be able to successfully say that I am now officially living and moving and having my being in the present. To me, that's mathematically impossible. I can only move and have my being in the past. And if I'm trying to be in the present and I ain't got but a fraction of a second, I never was there. And I ain't got no hope of the future. So I think the concept of past, present, and future is mathematically impossible. What y'all think about that?
Well, just like you said, Brother Tarhaka, what you said is something to give an individual something to think about. So, with that being said, I'm going to think about it. Okay. And maybe next time when we bring the subject up, I'll have an answer.
All right.
So, that's just what I'm going to do. I'm going to think about it.
Okay. What about you, Brother Yoel?
Well, I think that there's some part of who we are as beings that projects into the future. In some ways you may not, but I think we still dibbling, dabbling both in all three realms, depending on what's being done or what's being thought about. Because you ever heard your saying, I am today by what my thoughts were yesterday, I am tomorrow what my thoughts are today?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm projecting my future when my thoughts are based on my thoughts, what my thoughts are today. Okay? So you don't have to wonder who I'm going to be tomorrow, because you listen to me. If you listen to me today, you'll see who I am going to be tomorrow, because you can get into what my thoughts are today. And those thoughts today create my reality for tomorrow.
That's interesting.
That is interesting.
I have another. Go ahead, Dr. Williams.
That is interesting, and that statement that you all made provoked thought in my thinking. In order to have a future, you got to think of something that you want to happen in the future of your life. So it's an individual thing. It's not a across the board of humanity thing. It's individually. See? And I can see what you all was talking about. That provoked that thought of what I'm saying now in me. It's an individual thing. You cannot take the concept of the individual and pass it on to another individual. He may have a different thought. In fact, all humans have different thoughts, because every human lives in their own personal universe. Their personal universe of a human being is their minds. And they have different thoughts in their minds, coming from whatever environment they may live in, or whoever they come in contact with, or what they desire to achieve, things like that, you see? So you have to think about what you want in your life, and that becomes part of your future of your life. What you want in your life, that becomes the future for you, the human being, the individual human being. So that's what I have to say about that. And that what I just got you saying, that thought was provoked by Yoel, what he said. See, so that's what I have to say about that, Brother Tarhaka.
All right. Well, let's take a look at this right here. All right. In my opinion, my scientific opinion, everything on this planet, on this rock that we own, is energy. Energy cannot be created, nor can it be destroyed. So, if that is the case and that is a fact, then where does God concept come from? Energy. We take a slab of concrete as energy, even though the molecules and atoms and stuff inside that concrete moves extremely slow, but nevertheless they are moving. And we take a slab of wood, same atoms and molecules and stuff is in that wood, but they move a little bit faster than the concrete. Now, if we take water, move a little bit faster. If we take dynamite or gunpowder, we're really moving fast. If we take a man or a woman that's running down a racetrack, that energy is really, really moving. Now, we know these things are moving because the concrete, during the wintertime, it contracts. But during the summertime, it expands. Same thing goes along with wood. You can plant a tree in the ground, and years go by, and you cut that tree half in two, and you look at the rings of the stump of that tree, and it'll tell you exactly how old that tree is, which means that it is in motion and there's energy being generated. If we have energy not being created and now can it be destroyed, we're in some real heavy stuff, because that explains away the concept of God. What do you think about that, gentlemen?
Well, that takes you back to taking in what you were saying and examining it by way of your personal thoughts. So again, what you're saying has to be taken in and thought about, turned over, looked at, inside and out. Okay. The only life force out here is air, and that's called the omnipotent universe. The omnipotent universe has no beginning, nor does it have an ending. It keeps going on. It's air, it's energy, it's spirit. It keeps anything that's alive. Whether you get that energy from dry air, or like the fish gets their energy from the water. You see, so you have to think of it like that. Now, where did this air come from? Don't know. Air, like I said, the sky, the planets, the stars, the moon, sun, air, earth, water, vegetation, animals, humanity is all part of creation. Now, what created all these different entities that I just named? Don't know. It's called the mystery of life. What created the first man in the first moment that first appeared on planet Earth? Where did they come from? Don't know. Called the mystery of life. Where does one's spirit go after death? Don't know. Called the mystery of life. The reason why a human doesn't know is because that human, no human on earth can tell you how they got here as a human being. Goes right back to that. So you're living in a world that you have to try to figure out the best you can until you hit a wall. When you hit that wall, that's it. You can't go no further. The wall that humans hit, no matter what station in life that human may hold, how much education they may have, and how much money they may have, that wall is still there. Meaning that once you think about what created the sky, the planets, the stars, and the moon, the sun, and so forth and so on, the answer is, I don't know. But it's there. Still don't know. See? What created the first man in the first moment? Don't know. Mystery of life. So you just have to take what you can understand, think you understand, and deal with it from that point. See? Until someone come along and say, well, I see it this way. Next person come along, oh, I see it this way. See? So therefore you have confusion in the world among humanity. So these questions, a lot of them can't be answered, Brother Tarhaka and Brother Yoel. They can't be answered. You have to take it like it is. I don't know. I don't know.
Well, the reason why I was doing these little exercises tonight, Dr. Williams, because we are telling our listening audience they need to get away from this belief concept and start dealing with critical thinking. And when you start doing these things, I think it's something worthwhile for the human brain to go into exercising, actually thinking for yourself instead of this blind belief thing and going through the same motions day in and day out with the same concept in our mind, looking for using the same concept and looking for a different result, which is called insanity. And I think we need to start being sane. And if we start dealing with some other things where we're actually thinking for ourselves and get away from the concept of religion, put this God thing down on the side and start looking at things, and it really interesting because when I look at the birds in the sky, they'll take off and they'll fly in big bands, and all of a sudden, all of the birds will turn right, and then they'll fly, and I mean it'd be a ton of them up there, and all of a sudden the whole pile immediately turn left. And all of these, it seems to me that everything in nature is in order, and the only thing that's out of whack is us.
Okay.
That's the way it seems to me, man. I mean, it is the most amazing thing to me, and it shouldn't be that way. And we born into this life. Those of us who are here have made it this far, and with our head attached to our shoulders, we got a brain inside our head, and we feel the little tiny niches of life, and a lot of us go through life without thinking at all, as if it's some type of hard work or something to do. And but it's a lot of fun, and then you stuck inside this body. You got to carry this body with you from the cradle to the grave. So why not get the best use out of it? Why don't you use your brain to think with? Why don't you examine your environment? Why don't you look up sometimes and stop looking down, messing with a cell phone 24 hours a day? And why don't we actually get the best out of this life that we're living in? What y'all think?
I think you're right. What do you think, Brother Joel?
I think you're right too, brother. And I think that's what most people think they're doing. But they're not doing what you said earlier, though, which is something I wanted to add, and that was that I read some time ago in the book that said that I think it was Manly P. Hall, one of his books. But anyway, it said that the unprepared or the unfit cannot rise to the challenge of thinking. What a man does not understand, he misunderstands. What he cannot use, he abuses. Thus, that leads to a decline of the esoteric education or something like that. So, you said critical thinking. Most of us have been led away from that. We don't do no critical thinking like that, So there's the problem right there. But hopefully, and now to answer your question about God, that God is eliminated by what you said. How did you say it?
Energy. Energy cannot be created nor destroyed.
Now, so that doesn't take away. In my opinion, it does not necessarily take away God's concept, because that energy you're talking about can be God.
Repeat that again, Brother Joel.
When you get to considering what they call the day the white boy had to go and create what he called chaos mathematics or quantum physics, that's his idea of understanding this energy. He had to create a new mathematics to try to understand this energy out here, quantum physics and chaos mathematics and stuff like that, because he don't understand it. So he's trying to create a new math to try to understand that energy. What were you saying, Professor Williams?
The math that he created, is it based off of facts? Or is it based off of...
That, I don't know. I don't delve too deeply in his chaos mathematics, but I know he done created quantum physics and chaos mathematics and all of that to try to understand this energy that Tarhaka just talked about, because, because it takes you in the realm of also dark matter. When you talk about that energy, or the void that is not really void, but it's something. There's something from nothing, or the nothing from something. Whole theory. But there's nothing out there in the universe, and you're looking at something. He didn't figure out that there's nothing that he today said or yesterday said it was nothing. He didn't figure out that it's something. Okay, the void is not really void. It was him and his lame understanding in the beginning of what he was looking at, basically.
Okay. Now, let me ask this question. Mm-hmm. This is for both of you all.
Okay.
Will the world come to an end? Will the world ever come to an end?
No.
Hmm?
My personal opinion.
No.
No.
My answer is no.
One at a time. Who's speaking?
No.
Who says no?
Says no. Joel says no.
Say no.
Tarhaka says no.
Okay. The world will never come to an end, right?
Right.
Correct.
Okay. You're right. The world will never come to an end. Only the world that when an individual dies, his world has come to an end. His world. But it has nothing to do with the rest of the world and the people living on earth and the other living things with life in it. The individual who's deceased world has come to an end.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in agreement with that one.
Huh?
I'm in agreement with
he's
that.
in agreement with that.
Okay, well then we're all in agreement then. Now, getting back to God is not your friend. Do you have anything else to say about that, Brother Tarhaka and Brother Yoel?
In my personal opinion, he couldn't possibly be my friend, because when I was 7 years old, I got out of church, and the church lady brought us to the house, and I was picking on my brothers in the car and stuff, and I got out the car trying to get away from them before they hit me, and turned around and slammed the back door on my finger. And I just got out of church. And I was like, well, wait a minute, God. Because y'all just told me God is protecting. God, my finger was aching. Where he at now? I was mad. Boy, I said, God, you ain't right, man. You supposed to. That wasn't supposed to happen to me. So, no, he couldn't possibly be my friend.
Right.
Then again, I turned around one night. I was going over to my girl house, Dr. Williams. I had got an arm full of my best albums. I had a in my other hand, I had some 45 records. I had the Temptation. I had the Four Top. Boy, look here. We're going to have us a good time. And had me a big old 22 Magnum. Had that up under my shirt over there. Because I had a case we get drinking wine and something happened. But anyway, we had us a wonderful time. And when I came home, I'm trying to get the albums out the car and get the 45s out the car and get the gun at the same time, trying to hold all of this in my hands to get it in the house. And the gun slipped out of my hand and hit the little floorboard down there and went off. And I said, whew, yeah, I'm good. I'm still living. So I eased on, got the gun, put it on under my shirt because I got to get past my mama. I got in the house, and she come around and tell me, who shot you? I said, ain't nobody shot me. Ain't nothing wrong with me. She said, you got blood all over your pants. I seen the blood. Oh, here comes the pain. I said, oh, God, where you at now? I'm mad again. I say, Mama, just calm down. I'm going to call the police. I said, oh, no, don't do that. Because I got this plane where I get a big old gun from. No, I'm going to get some bandages. I'm going to be all right. Where you shot at? I said, I don't know. And I found out it had the bullet had done went through my wrist. And I had then went in and went out. And shoot, man, that boy, you took my something aching and pain and aching, boy, look here. Woo. I wish God would have showed up. But no, he's not my friend. But anyway, Brother Yoel, what you think, man?
Well,
sound like you're breaking up, brother.
okay.
You with us?
You there? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I can sound like you breaking up.
Well, I'll try to talk a little louder. Okay, I'll go back to
We can't hardly hear you, man. You're breaking up. Dr. Williams, are you still there?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Can I do it now?
Because I can't hardly hear Brother Yoel. I can't hear a word he's saying.
Right.
Sound like he's breaking up.
Correct. Uh-huh.
And Brother
But
Yoel,
anyway,
if you can hear us, hang up and call back in. Go ahead, Dr. Williams.
yeah, our subject tonight is God is not your friend. And if an individual take in the words that we spoke on this program thus far and use their analytical mind to think about what we said, then they can really understand that God is not your friend. Because God has not done anything for the African race. God has not done anything for the human race. God is just a concept that's associated with religions. Again, like I said, all religions have their own personal God. And by that being said, they have their own personal concept about God. They speak about their gods, and they some of them put limitations on their God, or they do not put limitations on their God. So you have to begin to think that the God concept comes from religion. Now, when you get into human beings, the actual humans, and not a concept, but the human being himself. You go back into ancient times where different racial groups and different tribes in different countries, they have a lifestyle that may that they use to call on their ancestors. In order to be an ancestor, you have to be one who's been deceased. So if you look at the Hawaiians in Hawaii, and when they get ready to contact their ancestors, again, in order to be an ancestor, you got to die. They have a horn, some kind of like a bull horn, and they blow through that, and it creates a sound. And the sound goes all out into the ether. That sound is supposed to awaken their God by way of awakening the spirit of their ancestors. And by them awakening the spirit of their ancestors, then they come in contact with their ancestors spiritually. And that goes on throughout the customs of the Hawaiians. Now, I don't know whether it's all the way through Hawaii like that, but from what I have seen in different documentaries, that is the custom of in Hawaii, that they use this bullhorn to awaken the spirit of their deceased, their ancestors, in order for their ancestors' spirit to be used where they can have comfort into the future, their future. They use this their ancestors' spirit for, let's say, initiating energy to them, and so forth and so on. And then you have, in other cultures, you have, like, let's go into Ethiopia. The Zagwe tribe in Ethiopia built 11 rock-hewn temples in the ground in Ethiopia. And and those temples was built to the Zagwe family, dead, deceased members, patriarchs of that family, and they and they did it over a period of 135 years, building those temples in the ground, interlocking with each other. In other words, you can pass from one temple to the next temple to the next temple without having to disrupt anything. So that's the that Zagwe family in Ethiopia. That's how they communicate and communicate with their ancestors, and sometimes they're called patriarchs. And so you have to really study, go back in ancient times and study what the ancients in Africa did, the ancients in other countries did, such as Hawaii, like I mentioned, and so forth and so on. And then you can see where their concept is altogether different from the concept that is out here today in these various religions. Again, I would say this, that this God concept is attached to Christianity, and that was done on purpose. Well, you, the individual human, been indoctrinated into Christianity to believe that this dead white man on the cross is God. Because they said God the Father, God the Son, being this Christ, the same. That's homogeneous. So they want to lead you to believe that this dead white man is God. And if you listen to these preachers out here, they will refer to this Christ, this Jesus the Christ, as being God. See, so most of them use the same deity and the same idea that this Christ and God is one and the same because of the homogeneous creed. God's the Father, God's the Son, the same. So they want you to believe that this white image on the cross is God because he's supposed to be the Son of God. So there's a lot of misleading things out here, but you got to use your analytical mind to think. If you don't use your analytical mind to think, then you're going to be just like sheep or like those birds. They turn left or right because the leader is telling them to do that. Communicating them in bird language to do that. Mm-hmm. So that's what I have to say about that. So God is not your friend. Never has been your friend, never will be your friend, never have been your friend, and cannot be your friend because God has no power. God is a man. So think. Use your analytical mind and begin to think. So, Brother Tarhaka?
Okay, well, Dr. Williams, I'm going to take another quick break. I see Brother Yoel, he's back in here. I'm going to open up his phone line immediately after our little quick break because we've been going here for a minute. So I'm going to take this little quick break, and when we come back, we can continue on to the close of this broadcast. So everybody hold on. The number to dial into the broadcast is 319-527-6084. That's 319-527-6084. Press 1 on your phone. That'll give me an indication you got something to say. Open up your phone line so you can speak to our guest here this evening. Okay? So y'all hold on a minute.
Yeah, there are a lot of people who argue about other things to do, but after the argument settles down and they decide to go to some priest or some preacher and whatnot, and after they start talking about Ezekiel and Genesis and Adam and Eve and all the rest of it, because they usually take a long time to get to the point. That's just a pattern of Christianity and Christian ministers. See, it's just one story in the Bible, and that's the story of Jesus. The rest of those stories don't even need to be there. But very few ministers will be honest about that. But very few will be dishonest about it. They just simply don't tell people that. Why? Because you can't have church service like that. Church service would last 3 minutes. How long does it take for someone to tell you that Jesus died for your sins? And if you believe that, you'll go to heaven. I said it in less than 10 seconds, I think. That's the only story in the Bible that counts. But, to make everything entertaining, most preachers would say, well, now we're going to talk about the story of Ruth. It's going to take me 3 hours. But you are not required, according to every preacher I've ever talked to, you're not required to know anything about Ruth, Ezekiel, Solomon, Moses, Thomas, even Joseph and Mary, Jesus' father and mother. You're not required to know anything about them at all. Not one thing. Not their names, not what they did, not even that they were the father of Jesus. You're not required to know that. You're required to know one thing, what Jesus said that you must do. And that wasn't but one thing. It takes less than 10 seconds to know that. But if you're going to open a church, and it's just going to take you 10 seconds to deliver a message, which is what a church does, they just deliver a message just like a post office, then Why build a great big church and have people parking on lots every Sunday and filling up pews to get a message that would take 10 seconds to deliver? Well, the logical answer apparently is entertainment. Get a good feeling. No other explanation for it. To hear good stories, or stories that people call good stories, very entertaining stories. Let me hear the story of John the Baptist. Tell me all about what he did, what he said. Tell me all about Moses, and crossing through Egypt and running from Pharaoh and all like that. These are just stories. Many people say that there are a lot of stories are not even in the Bible, hundreds of them that were lost. So what are the stories for? Just to make people think, I guess. Different points of view about the comings and goings of people thousands of years ago. But almost every preacher that I have ever heard, in fact, all of them that I've ever heard, and when I listen carefully, the only thing that they're really saying that it seems like they all agree on is that Jesus died for your sins. And that's the only message you need to listen to. You don't need to listen to anybody talk about Solomon or Ezekiel and the wheel or none of that. It is completely unnecessary. Unless you just like being entertained. Just like, reading stories from, things written by Mark Twain. That's about what it's worth. Thomas said, what Joseph said. These are just stories that people wrote. The story of Ruth. Or even the stories, that were about Jesus. Going and telling the fishermen to lay down your nets and follow me. How he gathered up the 12 disciples and all like that. You don't really even know that. You don't need to know it. It might be nice to know. You might find it very inspiring or entertaining or whatever you want to call it. But you're not required to know that. Because these are just people, just ordinary people, just like people you see every day. Even the disciples, they're just people. Well, some of them, one of them turned out to be a traitor anyway, I understand. They said, I forgot which one. But they said it's just one thing that you have to do, and that is believe that Jesus died for your sins. That'll get you into heaven.
Okay. All right, we're back. Area code 312. Brother Yoel, you back with us, man?
Yes, sir. I'm back with you.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. I'm here.
Brother Neely Fuller done gave us a head of mess this time. He said that believe in Jesus, that'll get you into heaven. Now, of course, that to me, that's a setup. I need to know exactly where heaven is located. Did you listen to what this man said?
Yeah, I heard some of what he said. Yeah. Mhm. But again, I think I think we all kind of look at things from the perspective of I think Professor Williams said something about it earlier on how we look at things. It's how Tarhaka look at something and how he looks at something, how I look at something. And we know everybody can walk away from that with different what we looked at. And we can be looking at the same thing, but looking at it from various perspectives. Okay? But going back to the question of God not being your friend, is relative to me. You have to go back to investigating the concept of God and what it is before you I can definitively say he is or ain't my friend, or she is or ain't my friend. Because it goes and to me it also goes back to what again supposedly come out of Egypt and philosophy of Tahuti is the principle of mentalism and the concept of God and the all. And that's going back to what this book, the Kabbalion, and I think it's also in Wayne Chandler's book as well. But the principle of mentalism and the concept of God and all says that which is the fundamental truth, the substantial reality, is beyond true naming, but the wise men call it the all. So you can call it God if you want to, if that's what you call it, but it goes back to what you said again with energy. It is energy. You can call it energy if you want to, but it is the all, and nothing exists outside of the all. And it is also mental, because we know that we can think thoughts, and it can cause that all to produce that thoughts, which are things. So, without getting too deep into that, that's what I think.
All right. Well, let me go back down here to Chicago again. Area code 312. Come on in.
Walter Williams, my phone went dead on me.
Yeah, I see you calling it, Rob. I figured it was you, 312 area code. Did you catch any of what Neely Fuller was saying this time?
I was into part of what he was saying, and the phone went dead on me.
Okay,
so it's something I missed.
Yeah, I think he missed the big whammy, because he said that he had went to the churches, and he said the pastors are telling stories, and he also said there's only one thing that you really need to be concerned about. You need to really listen to, and that is the story about Jesus. And then you do right, and then you go to heaven, and all the rest of it, we can just throw that away. And that's all the part that he said. Because now, what that is telling me is, because now he specialized on dealing with one thing, the global system of white supremacy, and his position is that the global system of white supremacy is the most powerful religion on earth. And we're dealing with economics, education, entertainment, labor law, politics, religion, sex, and war. And my position is, in regards to that, is if you are a religious person, then I have questions. Number one, what does your religion require you to do in regards to the global system of white supremacy, economics, education, entertainment, labor law, politics, religion, sex, and war? The next question is, when it comes to me and your relationship, what does your religion require you to do in regards to your relationship with me? I mean, if you see me walking down the road and we walking toward one another, I don't know you, you don't know me, but what does your religion require you to do in relationship to our relationship? So these are questions in regards to the concept of God and this and that and the other. And tonight's broadcast is about God is not your friend. So if you are being real about this thing in regards to the topic tonight, God is not your friend. If you still believe that God is your friend, can you give us some verifiable evidence that can prove beyond any shadow of a doubt that it was God who done this and that and the other for you? That's my position of that, because no evidence, no case. You just telling me some stuff about some hocus pocus and stuff. I like to deal with tangible, verifiable evidence that I can see, because we, in my opinion, I don't think we was endowed with the five senses of seeing, hearing, smelling, touching, feeling, and tasting. I think that was given to us for a reason. But what religion does is it wants you to put that to the side, and because that leads you to thinking. You know, you taste something, you say, well, this I think this tastes bad, or I think this tastes good. So we get rid of that. We just get you to concentrating on believing, and then we got you. We can tell you all these stories, and you give us your money, and I can go and buy a new Cadillac, and you come back next Sunday, give me a little bit more, and I can buy my wife one. But anyway, that's my position in that, based on my observation on what's going on.
Well, that's a good observation because, again, like I said, each and every human walking this earth has to realize that they were not born with a religion. If you can really, really understand that you, the human being, was not born with a religion, that man created religions and gave you these religions for you to believe in. And once you believe in religion, then you take yourself and your humanity out of your life and out of your humanity, and you inject it into a religion by believing in religion instead of believing in yourself. You see? So, these religions were created to control your thinking and your actions. You see, that's what religion was created for. It takes you, the human being, away from who you really are. So you begin to understand about yourself, and you begin to understand that you don't need a religion because you was not born with a religion. So we're talking about white supremacy. One way in order to destroy white supremacy is to stop believing in these various religions, or stop believing in Christianity. Stop believing in the dead white man on the cross, because he is a symbol of white supremacy. So once you come out of these churches and begin to realize what the religion of Christianity, how harmful it is to you, and what it does to you, then you begin to think, and you realize that you don't need a religion. So once you get to that point, then you have destroyed white supremacy, because it cannot survive any longer. See? Because you don't stop believing in that dead white man on the cross. You know what that dead white man on the cross represents. It's a symbol of white supremacy. That's all it is. And you can't get away all around it from being that as a fact. Again, facts stronger than the argument, more profound than reasoning, more dependable than opinions. Silences dispute, supersedes predictions, and facts always ends the argument. And see, another thing that these religions will do for a human being, it gives you side effects. All religions will give you side effects. It's like when you get sick and you go to the doctor and he writes out a prescription for you. The medicine that he's prescribing to you to take and ingest in your body is going to give you side effects. If you don't believe it, listen to the pharmaceutical ads on the television every day. The side effects in these religions is that the first one is confusion. You're confused because you don't know who you are. That's the first thing you need to know, is find out something about your own personal humanity. So that causes confusion, you see? And it causes you not to think, not to use your analytical mind, you see? So you can offset the confusion when you found out in your early life that there was no Santa Claus. When you find out that there's no Jesus the Christ, then you'll change. Okay? That's confusion. Because you think about and believe in these various religions causes confusion in your life. The second side effect, religions limits your thinking. It limits your thinking because you can only think what the religion has taught you by way of laws, rituals, customs, and ceremonies. That's what you abide by in order for you to practice these various religions. Laws, customs, ceremonies, and rituals. That's attached to all religions, every last one of these religions. So it limits your thinking. In other words, you put your mind in bondage. In other words, you incarcerate your thinking. When you go to jail and they put you behind bars in a jail cell, the cell that they put you in has limited space, 6 by 8 or whatever the case might be. And that space that they give you in this jail cell, it's as far as you can go. You can't go no further than that. So it limits your thinking, religion does. The third side effect,
Doctor, 4 by 6.
The third side effect is fear. They tell you if you don't believe in this Jesus Christ, that you're going to die and go to hell. That's fear. So they use fear tactics to make you believe. See? And the fourth side effect is that you uses your imagination from the stories that's been told to you by the preacher, by the Bible, etc., etc. You use your imagination, when they tell you that Jesus was crucified on the cross, and you can use your imagination to see that this Jesus is being crucified according to the stories that's told to you. So those are your side effects. So religion is very dangerous. Religion and God is not your friend. That's what religions have in all religions is God, and God is not your friend. These religions are not your friend. So that's what I have to say about that, Brother Tarhaka.
All right. Brother Yoel, is God your friend?
Again, that's all relative to my investigation, and until I get my investigation, I can't definitively say he is or ain't because I ain't did the investigation.
Okay.
Well, who is God?
The reason that. Okay, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Brother Yoel. Brother Tarhaka.
I was gonna say. Wait a minute. No, you go ahead, Dr. Williams.
Well, I was going to say that Brother Yoel asked him, has he ever seen God?
I think we asked me that one earlier, and I said I see God when I see nature, and I see God when I see you. I see God when I see anything that's come from so-called God.
So, have you been in the dictionary to see what the meaning of God is about? What is the meaning of God?
The first thing, the dictionary wasn't the place for me to look. That was my beginner's. That was my beginning investigation to look at the dictionary to see what it meant. And I don't remember what that is right now, but I'm way beyond that one right now. But the closest thing that I can come to what God is that first principle of Tahuti, coming out of the Egyptian philosophy, is that principle of mentalism.
Well, you still okay? What I'm saying to you, according to your thinking, you're talking about creation. That when you see me or any human, you see nature and so forth and so on. That's nature. That's called creation, coming from nature. or coming from the creation of nature. That's called creation.
But that
now, why would
wait now? Outside of,
why would you call nature and creation God?
Okay, when I look at your daughter. Okay, go ahead. You finished?
Yeah, go ahead.
When I look at your daughter, I'm looking at you. Is that right?
Okay.
If you can grasp that concept, when I look at your daughter, I see you. When I see you, I see your daughter. She is some aspects of her is you. So when I look at nature is aspects of God. There's this concept called God. Okay? People are some aspects of God. That's how I see it today. And when I was talking about going back to Hootie, to the 7 principles of supposedly Egyptian principles, it like I read it earlier, it said that which is the fundamental truth, the substantial reality, and beyond the true naming, but wise men call it the all. So that energy Tarhaka was talking about is the all. Energy. We all got energy.
What does that have to do with God?
Because that all is also considered the concept, encompasses this concept of God.
Well, what is God?
Energy.
Well, I think what we're going at now is he's telling us that energy has many different names, and God is one of the names that they're calling it. But what is taking place in the minds of people is they actually think that God is some magical being out there somewhere, some giant magical being, and Jesus too, and all the rest of them. And of course, they're all white now. Don't forget that part. And that they are, that's what God is. We're not looking at this from a scientific perspective. We're not looking at the fact that there's 1,440 minutes in a day. There's 86,400 seconds in a day, 10,080 minutes in a day, 125,600 minutes in a year. We're not looking at the scientific aspect of it. We're putting a label, attaching a label onto it and calling it God, instead of looking at it from a critical thinking, discard and trash the concepts that's been mixing up the mind. Now, we only got 5 more minutes left, brothers, so if you would give us your how to get in touch with you, and we got 5 minutes. So who's going to go first?
I'll take it.
Okay.
If anyone want to contact me, Walter Williams, you can contact me at through my email at ancientegyptian@msn.com. That's ancientegyptian@msn.com. If you want to converse with me further than this broadcast, in your emails, put your phone number there, and I'll contact you, and we can have a one-on-one private conversation. So you can contact me at ancientegyptian@msn.com. That's how you can contact me. And I'm the author of the 2 books, like was mentioned earlier on the broadcast, The Historical Origin of Christianity and The Historical Origin of Islam. Those 2 books can be purchased through Brother Yoel, like I mentioned earlier, from the Underground Bookstore. Phone number 773-768-8869. 768-8869. And Brother Yoel can talk for himself, but since I'm talking about where you can buy my books, I'm mentioning the Underground Bookstore in Chicago. Or you can go to a local bookstore in your community and order my books or buy my books from that bookstore. If they don't have it, they can order it for you, or you can go online to Amazon and purchase them. So that's what I have to say about the information.
All right. Brother Yoel.
Yes, sir. Okay. Brother Yoel coming out of the Windy City here. So you can contact me at the Underground Bookstore in Chicago. And the email is theundergroundbookstore at gmail.com or undergroundbookstore1 at gmail.com in Chicago. Telephone number 773-768-8869, 773-768-8869. If you want to get one of the top 10 best-selling books in the country right now, the two books, Historical Origin of Christianity and the Historical Origin of Islam, you can give me a call and we can get you Professor Williams' book. And that's where you can reach, how you can reach me.
Okay. All right. Well, gentlemen, I certainly appreciate y'all being on tonight, and we'll be coming back next month. We're at the tail end of the last day of the month here on the 31st. Mm-hmm. And I appreciate y'all being here, and I'm going to say good night to you. And until next time, y'all have a good night.
The Out Hotel.
The Out Hotel. All right, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. God is not your friend. I've been your host, Tarhaka Presents, and until next time, y'all have a good evening, and we'll see.
What are the white supremacists doing now? They're doing four basic things: racial showcasing, racial population tailoring, racial dislocation, and white sacrificing. And these four things are designed to produce maximum sophisticated confusion among the victims. And so far it's been somewhat successful worldwide. Now I'll start with the first one. What is racial showcasing? That means taking huge numbers of black people and putting them out front. There's going to be more of this all over the planet. Many millions of black people that you will see who will be rolling in money. They'll be able to showcase the places where they live. They'll be able to showcase their knowledge and expertise. So you have television now, you have all of the mediums for doing this, for showcasing huge numbers of black people. I will say it will eventually run into the millions, so many that you won't be able to count them. Now, what is this for? This is for any black person that starts talking about racism in the future is going to be laughed at, because they're going to be able to showcase so many black people who are what you call quote unquote successful, that it will seem that racism has been put out of business. But white supremacy is a world business, and like any other business, it works on profits and losses, which means percentages. You go into business, you expect a certain amount of loss. If you're in the grocery business, well, you might have a load of asparagus that is spoiled. But overall, you will make more profits than you have losses if you're going to stay in the business. Now, so the white supremacists know that the cost of doing the business of white supremacy is going up. They can no longer get away with Joe Louis and Lena Horne like they did years ago. They have to have many more evidence and the maximum confusion. And so that black people won't be able to say, they'll say, well, you know, it must be something wrong with me that I'm down and out and don't have a biscuit to eat, because there are so many millions of black people who have so much, so it can't be race. But see, for the 4 or 5 million black people who will be showcased, there will be hundreds of millions worldwide who won't have a biscuit. That's the way the business operates in the future and will be. That's the way it seems to be going according to what? The evidence, according to the logic. The other is racial population tailoring. That's number 2, meaning they're going to be killing huge numbers, either directly or indirectly, of non-white people. When I say black people, I mean, you know, non-white. Anybody who's in the non-white category, and doing this on an ongoing basis. Not to try to kill them all, because when you're in the business of racism, you don't kill off the thing that you need in order to keep racism going. Your ego trip, which is what it's really all about. But you do tailor the population so you can keep them controlled. So you'll kill off a few million in the Congo, then few years up the road, you'll kill off a few million in Nigeria, and a few years up the road, you'll kill off a few in Mexico, and on and on and on. And you will highly select the places where you do this. You'll have it all computerized, where you kill off huge numbers, or you have them, even better still, kill off each other, like you do in most of the cities in the northwestern part of the world, all the northwestern hemisphere. Having black people gun down each other, you know, non-white people, the brown people gunning down each other, gangs and all that other foolishness, see? And you kill them off, you know, and you just keep this going and you egg it on. And you put things in place that will see to it that it just keeps going that way. It never stops, because that's the mentality of the people. And this is racial population tailoring. In other places where the people are reasonably sane, they don't have a tendency to kill off each other, then you do things like dry up the water, or poison the rivers, dump toxic waste. There's all kinds of ways to do that racial population tailoring. All right, then the other, number 3, is racial dislocation. Keep them moving. People who are forever on the move through eminent domain, urbanization, urban renewal, gentrification, or, here again, drying up the river. You build a dam 800 miles up, and the river seals off the water behind the dam. I mean, the dam is sealed off, the river is sealed off behind the dam. So that means that all the people down in the valley there, they don't get any water. They need water. They depend on the fishing industry. So now they have to come and work for you, because there's no more water there, no more fish. And you give them minimum wage and a promise for the future as long as they look up to you. So they're completely dependent. But keep them moving. If a black person in the northwestern hemisphere starts getting that second-generation house, then you come through and say you got to build a highway. That's the technique. Now, these are things that you asked about how the white supremacists operate. These are the ways that they operate. The white sacrificing is the 4th. And this is, here again, all 4 of these things are for maximum sophisticated confusion among the victims. So you're not confused. You're keeping your victims confused. So you have white sacrifices, meaning it's kind of parallel to the racial showcasing. But these people in this case are white. Like in any army or any military operation, you know you're going to have some losses. So some white people are written off under the system of white supremacy. And a lot of white people are aware of this. They don't like it, but they're told that this is the cost of doing business. Just like a person who goes into the army and knows full well you might get killed, but it goes with the territory of trying to defend your bigger operation. So white sacrifices mean you'll have more and more white people on park benches, more and more white people begging on streets. They will be greatly visible. But what you won't pay attention to, because black people never pay much attention to what white people are doing, we just watch each other. See, they know that. millions of white people who are doing well on any city street. And for the handful of white people who have fallen through the cracks, you might say, sitting in front of the subways or begging in front of these delicatessen, for the handful that you see doing that, up under the bridge and all like that, it will give the illusion that it's not about race, that white supremacy is officially out of business. So there will be more of these white sacrifices, and they will be greatly visible. But compared to the number